G'day everyone, James here with JWN Lawn Care and Landscaping, bringing you another video. Well, hello everyone. Hey, I got a Bushranger jacket. And no, this video is not sponsored at all. Actually, not kidding, it's not. What you're going to see in this video has been paid for by me. It's my own money, right? Very good boy. Okay, so, we're an ever-changing business, okay? We're in ever-changing times at the moment. A lot of people are being, I guess, pushed and kind of rattled a little bit, just kind of shake that tin a little bit, see who can survive in constantly changing climates. And so if you look around, a lot of the big businesses are kind of scrambling to change the way they work so that they can continue to actually be profitable even in a very unstable environment like what we've got at the moment. And for those businesses that are going down, well, a lot of them have actually been kind of on the way out for a bit. So Virgin Australia, Briggs and Stratton just recently, a number of companies that have been sort of a bit loose from quite some time back. But now COVID's just really pulled the pants down on them and exposed all those flaws and really accelerated all those issues. So my business is changing too, and I've just seen my glue is dripping everywhere. That's not good. So what I'm doing is I'm actually making a switch, partially so at least, over to a new brand this season. Just going to go down here a little bit so I can get some paper so I can wipe up this glue. And one of those things is going to be switching to this company, Bushranger Power Equipment. Now, if you're sitting there, oh Jesus, that's drying up. If you're sitting here going, well, who the fiddle-dee-dee is Bushranger? They're an Australian company. Oh, that's good, it comes off. So, you probably haven't seen them anywhere else, because they're not really anywhere else, right? They're an Australian brand. So, hopefully one day we will see their products going worldwide, but for the moment, they're Aussie. And we don't really mind that. But you might see that some of this design here is a little bit familiar. This is their L301 brush cutter. So have a look. You'll probably notice the blue, the engine style, looks a bit familiar from somewhere, doesn't it? Especially to you guys who use Maruyama. And that's because it's actually got a Maruyama engine. So this is essentially a Maruyama trimmer. But what they've done is they've kind of made a Bushranger, so they've put their own colour scheme on it, and they've put, their own shaft and head and handle and everything else, but they're using Maruyama engines. Now, they don't just use Maruyama, they've also got Kawasaki on board too, which is really, really good, because Kawasaki haven't been making power products for a while now. And a lot of you guys would know that they were really, really good. But, yeah, they haven't been around for a bit. So, Kawasaki actually power some of Bushranger's lineup in the trimmers. So that's really, really good to see. I'm actually really keen to try and get a hold of a couple of those Kawasaki units too, because I'd love to see how they go. Everyone raved about them. It was a bit before my time in the industry, but everyone really loved them. So you might be thinking, well, Nank, if you're switching over to Bushranger, why have you had a bad experience with Stihl? Are you selling out to Bushranger? What's going on? It's not really any of those things. Stihl, I don't really have a relationship with them, right? They're a big company, multinational. They just sell shit, right? The main person I've got a relationship with is their dealer, their local dealer for me, Rob, right, at Ashburton Mowers. You guys have seen him a few times. Top bloke. And So Rob also sells Bushranger, but obviously Bushranger being a small Aussie company, not as well known as Stihl. So part of what I'm doing, I'm actually working not with Bushranger, but with their parent distribution company, Power Up Lawn Care Products, and also Roy Gripsky and Sons, who also distribute Hustler here in Australia, and GA Spares. They run that as well. So any guys running a lot of their parts, they've probably come from GA. And I'm working with them to kind of have a look at this brand, because yeah, no, it's got green screen too. It's pretty cool. You'll see that in a few videos soon. These are a really, really promising unit. So I'll run you through a few of the specs of it, okay? So this is the L301. This is a 30cc brush cutter. So it's 30cc engine. It's got a litre tank, I believe. And it's really, really good, actually. First impressions wise, you can see I'm wiring up this hour meter for it. But the thing I love about these is they're really, really light. So normally, when you pick up a 30cc brush cutter, like for example my old Gardenline multi-tool is about 32cc's, I think. And it weighs a bloody ton, right? So I've kind of always stuck to the smaller side of things when it comes to whippersnippers, mostly for maintenance work. You know, like the Stihl FS94 stuff. You know, I love my 94. It's an awesome trimmer. But it's only about 22cc's. 23, something around there. Now that's fine for maintenance work, but when you get into a bit thicker stuff, it can handle it, but it's going to slow down. It's going to take you more time, and time is money. So the beauty of a machine like this is, now I can't remember exact specs, but the smallest, I guess, sibling of this machine, the L261, is, sorry, the L231. So you've got the L231, the L261, then the L301 in the Maruyama range in terms of the commercial machines. And so this is the biggest in that kind of those three. But the 231, I've actually been loaning off Rob for the past week or two because my FS94 has been in the shop waiting on a new starter. It's been in there a bloody month, and they still haven't got it. So I don't blame Rob for any of that at all. It's none of his fault. He can't do anything about it. He's helpless. It's just sitting there waiting until Stihl finally actually get some parts out to us. But so the 94 and the L231 are very comparable in terms of power, weight, everything else. But what's awesome about Bushranger is where as you move up in the power grades with Stihl, so you go to the FS91, the 111, 131, 240, and so on, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. By the time you get up to something like an FS131, yes, it's like, you can use it, but it becomes very heavy for, you know, all-day use. Something like this, though, very similar power, it's only 100 grams lighter than the L231, their smallest machine. So this is only 100 grams, sorry, what am I saying? 100 grams heavier. 100 grams. That's nothing, man. Like, how much is this? This is 250 mils. This is, I mean, you can't really convert mils into grams, but let's just say, roughly speaking, 250 mils equals 250 grams, which it doesn't, but you can go and sort that out yourself. So it's half of this almost in weight, and this is like, this is nothing, man. So that small of a weight increase for that much of an increase in power, you're talking going from 22 to 30 cc's, is awesome. And also, being a straight two-stroke, these are really, really easy to feather. So you've got that whole range, right? So the beauty of that, what I'm getting to, is where a lot of guys might look at something like an FS131, which is kind of a bit all or nothing on the throttle. Now you can feather them, don't get me wrong, but it does take a little bit of practice. And they've got so much torque in them that they just, like, I've used a 131 a couple of times on some regular jobs, and it's just a bit of a handful. Like, it's just a pain in the ass. It's more of a annoyance than it is a help on maintained lawns. When you get into really long stuff, it's great, but for maintained stuff, it's pointless, really. Whereas with something like this, you can keep the revs pretty low when you're in just normal growth, but then you still got all that power available that if you need it when you get into really long stuff, and you don't have to worry about, you know, excess torque or anything else. Now, obviously, you can't do a direct comparison between those two because one is a hybrid 4-stroke and one is a straight 2-stroke, but initially speaking, I'm really impressed by this. So not only the weight, just the openness of it all, everything's very easy to get to, everything's very simple, none of that easy start bullshit that Stihl has, which is actually the reason why FS94's been in the shop for a month, because that easy starter is just cooked. And yeah, really nice handle. You'll see, interestingly, I haven't noticed a spark arrestor on these, which is normally one of the first things I pull out, because they just, you know, clog up so quickly. There might actually be one, just seeing those couple of screws, there might be one under here. But if you have a look, you'll see that there's actually these couple of dips, I guess, where it points out into the exhaust and points out this way. I think the purpose of that is to draw more air, just normal air in, and mix it so it cools the exhaust a little bit as it's coming out, and also kind of dilutes it a tad, I suppose. Again, I don't know the exact reasons behind that. This is my first day with this machine, but yeah, I'm tipping it might be something like that. Now, there is one downside to this machine, and it's not really a downside anymore because they're already working on fixing it, but that's this. If you notice, this is not an auto return stop switch. Now, this is one of the biggest things I love on my Stihls. You guys know me. I love auto return stop switches. Now, I can, and I do, easily get myself into the habit of, if I'm on a machine like this, I kind of straight away know to, if I turn the machine off, as soon as it stops running, straight back to start again. But unfortunately, not everyone's like that. Employees, my dad, other people who are working with me, whatever. So oftentimes, they'll just leave it off. So I'll be standing here, pulling it, going, why isn't this thing working? Should be starting. Switch isn't on. Now, so I have actually spoken to the Bushranger guys, and they're already working on a fix with that, because a few people have mentioned it. And so they're working with Maruyama to get that changed to an auto return stop switch, which is awesome. And I'm actually thinking as well, probably wouldn't be terribly hard to just modify this one to become an auto return anyhow. I reckon if I could just like open this part up and sort of you know, put a little spring inside there or something. I don't know. Let me know if you think something like that might work. I've only just kind of thought about it recently. The other thing I didn't really like was the bar that sticks out from here underneath there that most trimmers come with. On all my Stihls, they're bolted on, so I just unscrew them and take them off because they really get in the way and they make them hard to fit into like my trailer toolbox and stuff. But with these, they're actually part of this bottom handle assembly here, so you'll have to say I had to bloody cut that off. And although I'm happy to modify my machines, I really don't like cutting stuff. But I thought, well, it has to be done. So I much prefer the ones that I can just unscrew. So that's something else that I'd look at changing. They've got their own speed feed head. Now, this is really interesting because a lot of guys talk about how speed feed heads, the caps wear out really quick, which they do. I always keep a few spare caps in our trailer toolbox, and I swear by those speed feed 450s, man. You guys know me. But this is their version of the speed feed, and you'll notice it's got this little metal plate on the bottom. Which is meant to, so if you're bumping it on the concrete or whatever, it actually wears that a bit before it wears out all this plastic. So I think that's pretty smart. And you've also got wear indicators here too. I think these are, so, you know, when it wears down a bit, kind of you can see where it's at. But I will say, I do prefer the regular speed feeds that I'm used to, because they're a lot easier to feed and wind, I've found. And they're also bigger. because this one it's pretty stiff to turn, whereas the others are really nice and loose. You're able to just kind of spin them pretty easily, get them reloaded really quick. Again, a lot of this is probably learning curves and stuff. We're going out doing a bunch of lawns tomorrow, so I'll show you this thing in action. Yeah, just need to get this spark plug cable wired in, and that will go to the meter. So I'll actually show you how to do that, because I haven't showed this for a while. I keep putting these on, our meters on my trimmers. So as you can see, I normally try and mount them on top or like on the front or whatever, but obviously on this one they've got stickers and stuff there, so I don't want to cover them over, because especially down here, like specs and so on, don't want to cover them. So I figured, well, you know, this is a pretty flat surface, stuff it, let's put it here. So it's not 100% ideal, but it works. So what I do, get a couple of bits of tape, and I just put, well, I used to try and tape it in, or use those little foam things. They kept falling off though. Try and put them on and then put super glue around it. I'm using Tarzan's grip. So this is why I got liquid glue just around there. But I found that would get really messy because all the glue would drip down and around and everything else. We've been at my grandparents' house just now, so yeah, it kind of dripped off a bit while I was gone, didn't realise. But usually it's okay. I just kind of put a bit of a glob in the middle, let it dry a little bit so it's not super runny, and then I whack it on there, get some tape onto it, just hold it in place and let it dry. So I'll clean up some of these rough edges, you know, once it dries up a bit better. Oh, you can even see, just do it now, yeah. Doesn't have to be too spectacular, as long as it does its job, I'm happy. So it's really good, this glue, because it kind of bubbles a bit like that. So you can just sort of push it and mold it to hold whatever shape you need it to hold, or you know, move out of the way, or yeah. So pretty nice, and you can get a little knife or whatever when it's really dry and set, and cut if you need to as well. That works. I've had to do that on some others. Now with this cable, this is really nice. I like this design here because you can see spark plug cable nice and exposed. That's one thing that does pain me a bit with the Stihls. You have to take this whole bloody cover off to get to them. But with this one, it's right there. For the purpose of the video, I might actually just unbolt this quickly, just to show you indeed how easy it is to actually access. I think I've just hit my 10,000 steps. That's good. So you just unscrew this top bit here, and then I guess I have to take this off first. It's a bit tight, brand new machine. There we go. Whew. Right, so that just comes off like that. I know there's some wiring and stuff in there which I won't mess around with, but yeah, that's really good, easy, open access to all your stuff, which I actually really like. I like that design here. I think that's really smart, because that is something that's annoying as with the Stihls. I'm just trying to check, see whether there is indeed a... Let's take that off real quick. There's honestly nothing worse than having a plugged up spark arrestor, and then you've got to pull the whole thing to bits, and then it's not working in the middle of a job, and it just becomes painful. So let's just take a real quick look, given it's so open. I hope... Oh, no, they aren't. Okay. It's a different size. Alright, fair. Comes with all your tools in this little bag, but evidently not one. Oh, there's the handle. So, yeah, that's never used, so that's mainly just to stop it rolling around, or to stop it if you've got a brush blade on and it kicks back to stop it from flying up and cutting your foot. But we're never running brush blades on these, so that's not really applicable. Alright, well, it doesn't look like I have the right size Allen key actually to take that off for the moment. I do have a pile of Allen keys in the shed, but I'm not going to go get them now. You guys get the point. Everything's really easy to access. I love that. So you're kind of learning this machine with me, at the moment because, yeah, I haven't really had much time to pour over this myself yet. I'm kind of just learning it all as we go because these are pretty new. So Bushranger's a nice new company. Haven't been around for terribly long, but they're a good bunch of people, so I figure I'll give them a crack. And you guys know me, I will use and promote brands that I think are worth it. And so if I think a machine's good enough that I would buy it, I'll happily promote it. But I'm not going to go out and promote a machine that I'm not confident in, you know, because I think that's doing a disservice to you guys. So what we do now, we'll have a look at this cable. So we'll take this, and what I do, give it a few turns around the spark plug cable there. Now this is what actually powers your hour meter, so you need this to be right, because otherwise it's not going to work. Don't really need anything fancy for this. All I use is this little twisty tie that comes with it that holds this cable in, and a pair of scissors or, you know, cutters or whatever. With this, because of where it's positioned on that air filter cover, I'm going to have to watch it a little bit. I might actually leave a little bit of excess and just see if I can poke it in behind there or something. Yeah, I might do it like that. Yeah, so if we then work on that much, just so that way there's a little bit of wriggle room, you know, so that the air filter can actually come off. Because what you don't want happening is you bolt everything down, cut it all super tight, and then you figure out, oh shit, can't actually touch anything else with it now because I've got that in the way. That doesn't make for a very helpful day out at the park. So, well, I've got this wrapped around about 5 or 6 times. Look, the more times you wrap it, the better it's going to be. And I'm actually going to slide that down a bit. And then what we do, I'm sure you can't bloody see there. Move here. That should be better. I'm going to take my twisty tie. And I'm going to get the end of my wire, sort of wrap it around that. The twisty tie won't hate me, that is. There we go. Alright, so with this, like that, just sort of, it's all pretty rough, but just as long as it holds it, like that. I've heard of some guys gluing them. I haven't tried that yet. I've always just done this, and they've always stayed on. So I'll push that in there a little bit, just so it's tucked away, nice and safe. That's what we want. So all that cabling's all good there, and we pop that spark plug back in. It just clicks in nicely into there. Alright. Happy days. Now, to test this, I'm going to leave the switch off because I don't want to start it in here, obviously. And I'll try and hold it up a little bit. And we'll just give her a little bit of a pull. And hopefully when the motor turns over, we should be able to see that indicator flash. Because I don't have the switch on, maybe that's stopping it. Oh, yep. There we go, so you can see it flashing. See how it flashes every time I turn the motor over? So that means that it's connected up properly in here, and it's actually registering that current that's going through the spark plug cable. It's delivering that to our hour meter, which is good, because that means it's going to work. So when I start that machine up, it's going to start clocking up the hours, which is exactly what we want. So, yay, I've done that right. Now the only other thing to do will be, we'll grab our pair of snips, just cut this wire. I normally save this. You can chuck it out, I suppose, but I like to save stuff like this. You never know where it's going to come in handy. So we'll just trim it right back. I don't have any snips on me at the moment. I'll do it a little bit later. But yeah, that's an overview of the L301 trimmer. So yeah, look, we've got a lot coming for you guys. You know, from this company and also a lot of others. So, you know, our first video, you would have seen that Power Up Lawn Care warehouse tour earlier this year. That was organised by the same guys who run all this, which is great. So, yeah, I've been doing a bit of work with them, doing some testing, doing some reviewing, and you're going to see more of that soon. But I want to make it clear, none of this is me selling out to them. None of this is them paying me to say anything to you guys. It's purely me getting stuff, running it, seeing what I think of it, and just giving full-on honest feedback. Everything I like, everything I don't like, and everything in between. Because number one, that's going to help them improve their product, and number two, it's going to help you guys make a better purchase. So, yeah, that's my aim with these things, right? Just because I've got a nice jacket from them, and you know, they're good people to me, does certainly not mean that I'm in any way letting them sway my views of their stuff, or you know, sway any of your views through what I say. And I've made that very clear with them from the get-go, and they've been very much in agreement with that from the get-go too, which is awesome to see, because it shows me they're an honest company, right? Because they're like, no, we just want you to run our stuff and see what you think of it. You know, we don't want you giving all this glowing feedback. We want you to tell us everything you love, everything you hate. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing with them, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys. So, yeah, I'll take this out for a good run tomorrow, and see what we think of it. I'm waiting for some more Darwin scripts to come in, because that's about the only thing this thing's missing at the moment. But, yeah, so, very promising brand. If you haven't had a look at them already, and you are in Australia, do go check them out, right? They've got some really good stuff. So, I'm kind of fairly new to this side of the company. I've really only mainly looked at their zero turns and so on. So, I'm getting to know them just as well as you guys. But, yeah, tell us what you think. Peace in the Middle East. Don't eat bats. Be good to yourselves. Be good to your customers. I'll be good to you. And, yeah, chuck us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.